What's going on, guys? And welcome back to Footy with an Edge. How I have missed making these videos, guys. It's only day 2 of me being back, and I'm already being accused of not being able to admit when I'm wrong in the comments. So this is a great start to life. But hey, such is the life of being a content creator, and here we are, uh, showing ourselves yet again. So the big question today that we need to answer is United are apparently back to winning ways. We beat City, Arsenal, Fulham. The mood has changed. The noise has gone down. And like our resident Ineos expert has always been saying, what Ineos needed was a noise reduction strategy. And that's what Shaylin said. And Carrick has been able to do that through his first 3 games. By the way, hopefully everyone can hear me all right. If I can get some of you lads to help me out with that information, that'd be great. But we needed a noise reduction strategy through Carrick, by hook or by crook. We've been able to get one. And let me be clear to everyone who feels like I'm not giving Carrick enough credit. He has done a fantastic job. Like I said, it's an 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of how he's managed the first 3 games. Defensively, we've been very good, right? A lot of the issues that were highlighted under Ruben Amorim for the midfield are no longer there. The spaces that were asking Casemiro and Kobe Mainu to cover are far lower, right? It's a much more compact team. It's much more set up in a way that is easier to do defensively, and as a result, what we're giving up is a bit of possession, right? Which again, um, Lanre, is this Lanre? It's a different Lanre. Hey man, why are you only doing live now? Some of us miss your short videos. I am doing short videos. I'm not doing only lives now. I just got back from India, so it's I'm still acclimatizing to everything that's going on here. I'm recovering from a 7-day flu and also having a massive headache right now. I got up at like 4 or 5 a.m. today, so it's I'm a little bit all over the place. Just give it a couple of days. I'll be back to doing short videos. Don't worry. And this one's only going to be an hour long as well. This is kind of more of a daily programming for me. But welcome anyways to the channel. But anyways, we're talking about the tactics are more palatable to the squad that we have now. We're not here to talk about XG. We're not here to talk about consistency. We're here to talk about money because the Glazers are apparently worried. They're sweating bullets, and surprise, surprise, they care about money. And there's a piece in The Athletic written by, I believe, Mark Critchley, Adam Crafton, and Laurie Whitwell. So a lot of the familiar faces and names that we already know. And they say that commercially the cracks are widening and they're widening fast. So it's not really about whether Carrick's doing a good job. That's not what we're here to talk about today. The real question is, what does United actually need more right now? Is it better football or Champions League revenue? And what happens if those two priorities start pulling in opposite directions? That's the real question. So, in terms of the agenda for today, we're going to talk about the commercial model, why it worked for so long, what's actually gone wrong since Ineos has arrived, why the Glazers are suddenly concerned about the finances, and how Carrick's results change the stakes, but they don't fix the problem. What this means, and eventually what this means for United's future decision making. So, at the top of the agenda is how United got here. United's historic advantage wasn't football dominance, it was commercial leverage. Ed Woodward's infamous quote was uncomfortable but largely correct. even during bad football years, United signed Adidas, signed Qualcomm, stayed top 5 in terms of revenue globally. Old Trafford, the global fan base, the commercial machine kept them insulated in terms of finances. So United survived football failure because the business side was elite. Now, this is what the Athletic article has said. These are not my opinions. I could not disagree with this more. I think Ed Woodward was just doing tap ins. He was not some business savant that was taking us back to the promised land or keeping us relevant, even though the football was irrelevant. That is complete nonsense from the Athletic. I cannot disagree with this more. I think Ed Woodward simultaneously was doing the bare minimum on the business side to keep us relevant and doing the absolute worst effing job he could do in terms of how he spent that money. Because guys, let's be clear here. We didn't have a director of football. It was very much Ed Woodward and the bankers with a W that were making the footballing decisions. So signing Paul Pogba, giving him crazy money, giving De Gea 400,000 pounds a week, giving all of these players, these older players that we signed big contracts, even bringing Ronaldo back. These were all decisions made on the business side as well, right? Because they were not football decisions, they were business decisions. So, on the one hand, we are now starting to be less financially viable because of an accumulation of those bad decisions on the spending side. That's my opinion. None of that has been covered so far in the Athletic article. Maybe it does as we move further on, but I just want to make that clear. I do, Raphael. I do have a cold. Maybe that's why my nose sounds like it's a little, or my voice sounds a little nasally. But anyway, so my point is that we stayed top 5 revenue globally, but that was more because of the on the pitch success of Sir Alex till 2012. Since then, we've been going down on the pitch, and that has been we've just been staying afloat because of large historical success driven by one man. So for Ed Woodward to take any credit for this, or for the Athletic to give any of the credit to these idiots, I just don't see where that's coming from, right? But let's talk about what's actually broken down. So the core issues that are identified from the article in terms of finances are that we don't have a training kit sponsor. The sleeve sponsor is expiring. Adidas has a penalty that is now active. The commercial staff has been cut by 25%. We have a loss of institutional knowledge because of presumably the cut in commercial staff. And some of our integrated partners have walked away. So it isn't about brand value disappearing. It's about execution capacity collapsing within the club. Ineos have treated the commercial department like a cost center, not a relationship business. Again, I find all of this fascinating. I, like you, I'm not privy to some of this information in terms of how they're making the cuts behind the scenes. Right, I'm not a financial reporter myself, um, so I have to go based off of what the Athletic is providing here. But I want to see what the Adidas penalty is actually about. So give me 1 second as I do that. Uh, Hopefully, I can clear this up for you guys here. Okay, so the Man United kit deal with Adidas includes a Champions League performance clause that reduces the annual payment if United fail to qualify for the competition. This clause has existed in different forms since the original deal began, but it has never actually been applied until now. So the old deal from 2015 to 2023, United would lose 30% of the annual Adidas payment from the kit sales. right? Because that's how it works. Um, if we sell a lot of kits, Adidas actually benefits. They just pay us a flat fee, I'm pretty sure. So, excuse me. Yeah. So only if we fail to qualify for the Champions League in two consecutive seasons this would apply. United narrowly avoided triggering this penalty in 2017 and 2020. As a result, the penalty was never enforced. Um, what changed in the renewed deal in 2023 onwards was when we renewed it, the clause was reworked. The two consecutive seasons condition was removed. The penalty was reduced from 30% to a flat £10 million per season. The penalty now applies for any single season without Champions League football. So, in short, the penalty became smaller, but much easier to trigger. So, the penalty didn't apply last season because United were still in European competition, which was the Europa League. However, this season is different. This was the first season without any European football in over a decade for United, which means the £10 million Adidas reduction is now active for the first time ever since we began our partnership with them. So for this season, United are receiving £10 million less from Adidas um, than the headline value of the deal. And next year, if we fail to qualify for the Champions League, another 10 million penalty applies, which means £20 million will be lost over 2 seasons just from Adidas before you even factor in sponsorship knock-ons, reduced global exposure, and fewer commercial activation opportunities. So why this matters in the bigger picture is that Champions League qualification is no longer just a football objective or a prestige marker. It's now a direct financial pressure point. In effect, Carrick or the previous manager weren't just chasing points, he was protecting revenue and protecting our ability, frankly, to get future sponsorship deals as well. Because let's be honest, um, the financial might of United is going down, and it's going down fast. So this is something that we have to deal with. Now, if I take a look here at the next talking point. So we're talking about Ineos versus the commercial reality. So Ineos's mindset is deliver what's in the contract, nothing more. Um, the reality of sponsorships is that relationships, handholding, perception management, all of these things are important. Cutting staff in some of those departments is not conducive to making things work, right? So Ineos are better than Ed Woodward at football operations, and I feel like they underestimated the commercial beast that they've inherited. At least that's what the Athletic is purporting. For us to have some sort of commentary on that, it's hard to tell. So why are the Glazers nervous now? Because we've had the first real drop in Deloitte rankings, where they rank all the football clubs in terms of their, I guess value. First Adidas penalty ever applied, like we just discussed. The sponsorship growth is flatlining while rivals accelerate. And Tottenham, City, and Liverpool are closing the gap very fast in terms of club value. So the Glazers don't historically panic over tactics, but they panic when competitive advantage erodes. And that seems like it's happening. So this is the first time United's commercial dominance feels genuinely threatened. And again, this is so stupid. This line is so stupid, guys, because I can't even. I'm trying to muster up the strength to get through this without just laughing my ass off, because United's commercial dominance has been threatened since the Glazers took over the club. The amount of debt that we've been put under, we should genuinely be able to just, pistol whip all the other clubs out of contention, because we have so much money and so much financial might to outperform, outcompete these 115 idiots, across the pond, or sorry, in our city, in Man City. and Liverpool and all of these other clubs if we didn't have the Glazer debt. So for us to be worried about our commercial dominance, and that it's threatened, is just such bullshit. We've been run so poorly in terms of overspending on players, not setting the right incentive structure, just letting it all slip and slide into becoming a complete mess. To now worry about it being, a threat to our existence is just too late. It's way too late. But anyways, let's talk about where Carrick fits into all of this, because I think Carrick's wins matter massively, right? I don't think even the Glazers or Ineos would have guessed that Carrick could come in and win 3 games on the row. I think he's done exceptionally well. Regardless of how I feel about the previous regime, or um, how poorly Ineos have made their decisions. This is akin to, let me give you guys an analogy, right? And I think this is an analogy that should fit into, that should hit home with whether you were Amram in or Amram out, or whether you like me or dislike me. The Carrick decision for Ineos is a little bit like having a friend who gambles all of his life savings away. He loses his family, gets into a divorce, loses custody of his children, and then when it all seems lost, he throws a final, throw of the die and somehow becomes a millionaire. Like, that's what this seems like, right? Because we have gone from we have gone from looking like we're in the depths of hell to somehow reviving the season. And look, I'm sure there's a lot of revisionism happening with those of you that are football experts compared to what I have in terms of football knowledge, saying that, oh, I told you we should have sacked Amram, and I knew we were going to win 3 games in a row against City, Arsenal, and Fulham. And fair enough. Like, there's um, elite ball knowledge all over Twitter, and I see it on a daily basis. But if you're sitting there as Ineos saying that, oh yeah, we knew this was going to happen, it's complete bullshit, right? It's a stroke of luck that they landed into, that Carrick landed into their lap, and things have gone the way that they have, and that is helping them out massively. Because you imagine if Carrick came in and drew 3 games in a row, which again was totally possible, right? Nobody would be sitting here saying Carrick out just because he drew against City and Arsenal at the Emirates and then Fulham at home. But that's what's happened. Now we've won 3 games in a row. Carrick has done extremely well, and now we have to qualify for the Champions League, and somehow it seems like we are going to. So Carrick, as the interim coach, who has claimed he doesn't want the full-time job at the end of the season, his role in just 6 months is to essentially protect the revenue stream of an entire organization that goes beyond just football and everything else. It means so much to us, right? Like, look at me. I've got a Rooney scarf and like a United scarf behind me. I've got this ball. Going to Old Trafford was one of the best days of my life. So this is, we're waiting on a stroke of luck to get us to where where we should be. And this is the impact of the Glazers' decision making. I mean, I can't even really be upset at Ineos because they've only been here for 2 or 3 years, guys. It's the Glazers that have been here for 20 years, and they're trying to just be the weasels that they are. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. And so the big question, or the big questions from me for you guys is, are United making football decisions for sporting reasons or commercial survival? What happens if Carrick stumbles and is not able to get back into the Champions League? What happens if performances improve but revenue doesn't? United used to be run like a commercial giant that played football. Ineos want to run it like a football club that funds itself. Right now, those two visions are colliding right now. I don't really see where we go, because in the summer, how much money do we really have to spend on the midfielders that we want to buy? Right? If Carrick does an amazing job till the end of the season, what's the guarantee that next season some other um, whoever comes in is able to carry that on? I don't really see it. So, guys, I've opened up the lines. Let's have a chat. I think it's really interesting for us to poke and prod through some of these talking points, because I'm certainly concerned about the club, and I want to see where this can go, and how we can kind of become the commercial giant that we deserve to be, based on the amount of fans and the amount of love that goes around for this club. Uh, let me just start a poll here. Please like the stream, guys. I know we have about 40 to 50 people watching today, and like I said, I'm still trying to keep up the energy to get through this. All right. Oops. Did I just end the poll? Shit. I just ended the poll. Great. I am clearly, my brain is not working today, guys. And let me pin this message. Yeah, so anyone that wants to come have a chat, please join the StreamYard link, and I'd be happy to talk about the finances and in general what it means for who we can get in the summer, because it's honestly an open question, right? Let me read some of the comments here. Raphael says, becoming commercial pygmy. Used car salesman in Ed Woodward. Yep. Red Olson says, City, Arsenal were games we always perform in. Nothing away from Carrick. He's done well. Paint drying conferences. Oh, you mean the pressers? Fair enough. Richard says, time to invite Qatar group. Rod says, this should surprise none of us, really. We still doing the same mistake, not buying cheap good players like Stankovic and Tarek Muharimovic. Damn it. These are some football manager type players, bro. I don't know who these guys are. Old Trafford is the theater of used players showroom. Fair enough. Nelson says, but didn't we know this when Ineos projected us with Europa League and we failed to get it? This was going to be a major impact to our revenues. Well, yeah, Nelson, to be fair, Sir Jim was also just lying out of his ass about the club not being able to even survive past December when he did the Gary Neville interview, right? So I think there's that to be said as well. Rafael says, we buy players who offer clubs dream to sell on. And Richard says, in 2025, 785 million revenue made and profit was around 540 million, and paid interest of the loan 250 million. Okay. Put pressure on the sponsors, Glazers and Ineos out. BU Sid says, I had a feeling that you'll catch the cold after landing right for. Well, I did. I actually caught the cold while I was in India, bro. Funnily enough, so I don't really know what to tell you. I caught the flu, I guess, or a lung infection or something. Really bad. Like I was out, completely out. Anyways, guys, the lines are open. I don't see anybody joining the what's it called, the StreamYard studio, so I guess I'll keep going, because I have some thoughts on who we should sign in the summer, and just want to in general go through their stats a bit. But I guess we've lost RIP FB ref. So I guess I'll go to data MB and compare Elliot Anderson to Casemiro. And then let's also look at Baleba. Okay. Here we go. In classic Romano style. Cool. Raphael says we'll join later. Nightwing says can't join because of work, bud. Sorry. Fair enough. But we have Elliot Anderson, who has a dual win rate of 67%. He wins back possession. I guess this is. Oh wait, sorry. This is all. Okay. I'm definitely looking at this incorrectly. I believe this is percentiles. Yes. I guess we have Rishi here. Rishi, how you doing?
Hey Andy, how are you? Couldn't
Pretty good.
sleep and saw that you were live, so I figured might as well hop on.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Go on. What do you think about Ineos and finances? We'll come back to the players. I don't know if you caught any of the stream in terms of what I said.
I just think that it's so interesting how um, easily United fans are manipulated, right? Because most of the conversation you see online is about how Amarim was a bad coach and how Carrick has, restored us back to our former glory. And guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm not interested in talking about Ruben Amarim anymore. Any conversation that I will have pre Michael Carrick will be about the players and will be about the squad as a whole and will be about Ineos and the board's actions, which have brought us to the place that we have. Because let's be honest, guys, Michael Carrick, the plan, right? It was never the plan to bring Michael Carrick on. These guys lucked out that Carrick has won the first three games. If you asked any United fan before this three-game run or at the beginning of the season, when after the Europa League final, many people wanted Amarim gone. If they'd asked him who's the coach you want, people would have said, "Bring me a Hansi Flick or a Luis Enrique or a Roberto De Zerbi." No one had Michael Carrick on their lips. Everyone has just forgotten, and everyone has thought that, oh, Ruben Amorim was the one leading this club down the drain, and Ineos have suddenly miraculously decided to rescue us, and they are our benevolent masters. So, as far as I'm concerned, Andy, I'm going to be real. The only discussions I'm willing to engage in about United are the 90 minutes that we see on the match day, and that is the very micro. And I will look at the very zoomed out, macroscopic helicopter view of where this board is taking us. Because I'm not interested in talking about what the rest of the season is going to look like or what we are going to do after the season ends. Like that for me is indeterminate. You cannot determine how this team is going to play for the rest of the season, right? I don't think anyone can sit here and predict where we're going to finish because that is a spectrum. We could finish third, fourth, fifth, or even sixth, right? So that difference between those four places is huge, and the points difference might be as less as 1 point between each place, and then it could boil down to one result, right? I shudder to think if we finish somewhere like sixth, and we are 3 points off of third, and we finish sixth on goal difference, and everyone is going to blame this all on the previous manager. My problem is not that I'm a Amarim apologist or anything. Like I said, I have no interest in talking about Ruben Amarim. My problem is that everyone will forget that this board went into this season without a midfielder. They saw another uh, transfer window without any significant players brought in. Okay. And I'm not saying that you go in and buy like an Elliot Anderson at a 25-30% premium in January. I'm saying look at what City did. They saw opportunities, fair enough. Semenyo was an opportunity we also saw, but he chose another team. They saw Gehi, another opportunity that opened up because he had 6 months left on his contract. Similarly, you had an Angelo Steeler, right, who was up for sale in the summer for a 40 million euro release clause, that is 34 million pounds, Andy. You kick in another 6 or 8 million pounds and you tell them, I'll buy him for 50 million euro right now. Haven't you got an insurance against a Bruno Fernandes injury? Because that's what a proactive board does. So as far as Ineos is concerned, I think they have played a master plan here, absolute masterstroke by getting Michael Carrick, and they have turned out lucky. I don't know if you've seen. Sorry, I've been rambling on for a bit now. I'll let you come in
No,
and
it's
tell me
not.
what you
I
think.
mean, it's the only thing I would disagree with you. It's not a masterstroke because
It
it's
looks like
lucky.
one. It looks like one because yeah,
No,
it's
it's
turned
lucky.
out well for them.
It's luck, right? I mean, like winning the lottery is not a masterstroke, right? That's the only thing. I'm not even. I think that's just a word you used. I don't think that's what you were intending to say because
No, no,
of
but
what you
but
said
eh,
before.
but if you look at it, it was smart and it was tactical, right? Because they knew the moment they have an ex-player in, like Shailen says this very brilliant point where he says that we need a noise management
Noise
strategy, right?
reduction strategy. Yeah.
Noise reduction strategy, and the best way to do it is bring an ex-pro into the dugout, right? Someone who's respected, someone who's British, right? So you have that more respect and that grace that's given by both the fans and by the media. So noise is managed in that way, and someone who's familiar enough and who knows their place. So for them, that the masterstroke was that they picked the right guy for the kind of job that they wanted at that moment. And also, I would say I am kind of relieved they didn't go back to Ollie, although they jerked around the poor guy and showed him the carrot and then beat him off with the stick in the end. Uh, that was that was not cool of them. But anyway, uh, hey Rafael, how you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, let me get the camera on.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's. I'm kind of sitting in the dark right now,
Yeah, yeah.
so there's no point in turning
Yeah,
on the camera. What
just
time
like the
is it
rest
there
of
for
the
you
fan
guys?
base.
No, no. By the way, Andy, I
Okay.
gotta give you
Sorry,
props, man.
go.
I gotta give you props for doing this even when you're sick, because I don't think I've seen you, dude. Like you were down in the dumps with that cold, running through like a box of tissues in like less than half a day. So the fact that you're still doing this is major props to you.
Yeah, I want to get back to like doing more content as well. Because like I mentioned yesterday, but inshallah, as they say in the Middle East, we'll get there.
In
Raphael,
Shailin. In
yeah,
Shailin.
in Shaylin, yeah, let's go. I'm sure he appreciates that. As he is pretending to work while his true passion lies on this channel.
Andy, I have a question for you.
What's up?
My question is about the commercial side. When Ineos took over, they brought in, at least initially, Jean-Claude Blanc, who was a mastermind at Paris Saint-Germain in terms of the commercial deal. And actually, I was quite excited. I thought, okay, this could be a good thing, that we actually get someone in who sorts out the sponsorship, maybe a fantastic new deal with somebody. And 2 years on, we're seeing nothing. Can you explain what that is about? Shaden the Savior.
Hey guys, how are you?
Inshallah.
I don't know. I just hopped on, and I've definitely missed a bunch of the
Well,
other.
so
yeah.
Raphael was asking me. We brought on Jean-Claude Blanc as like the commercial guy who had done very well at PSG.
Yeah, but he left. Like he just.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
He was
yeah.
only
Yeah,
temporarily. Yeah.
But my question, Shaden, was I'm glad you're here because I was thinking about it after your stat pad. When he came in, I thought his role was to, if you like, to generate a new commercial sponsorship revenue thing like he did at Paris Saint-Germain. So I was kind of disappointed.
He was
that not his
he
role?
was just coming in to steady the ship. Like again, it was we were transitioning out from one CEO to, and we needed somebody who was already a CEO at a football club to kind of just come in and just like, hey, like we need you to like step in and do a job. And that was the intent until they hired their own.
But
I
isn't
don't know.
that
Like I
isn't the
feel like a
guy-
lot
it
of this
seems a
stuff is like
trick, no?
it's not. It's like, this happens inside of like organizations all the time, especially like if you're getting like bought and acquired. Like yeah, they're gonna put somebody in there who is their guy before they determine what it is that they want to do next.
No, but Jalen, the question still stands, which is why haven't Ineos figured out the commercial strategy?
Because their priority has always been, we want to fix the stuff on the football operations side. It's not like a commercials thing. Like again, as fans, like we should care more about the football side because the commercial stuff will follow. We've seen that in all the other clubs, right? They don't need that large of an emphasis on their commercial strategy because what happens on the pitch speaks for themselves, right? And this is a virtuous cycle. It begets it. The more you win on the pitch, the more you're going to get money. Yeah,
I agree with you, and I'll go a step further because the reason why we're struggling now is because the football side has been so bad that the commercials are also struggling. So I agree with you. The priority has to be on football side. But when I hear that the football operations are being hindered because we may not have money to do what we want to do in the summer, that's where my concern comes back up.
This is hilarious. So like, this is the one gripe that I have got with the Athletic and with everyone that's like reporting around like United finances and whatnot. They're just like, we don't know where the money's going to come from. And like, yeah, that's true. On the balance sheet, you don't know where the money's going to come from. And if that's all you're going to look at, then you're right. You don't know where the money's going to come from. But people forget, like, the way that we've structured these deals in the past is we are, one, paying over time. Two, there is still about $100 million more left inside of this credit facility that is there. But people are assuming we're just not going to pay that down. Like, it's just going to stay there, and then that's all we've got left, or that players aren't exiting, or players aren't going to, like, get sold. If in the actual language, this is how I know the Athletic doesn't read any of the financial reports that they are actually quoting these numbers from. From a numbers standpoint, it's very accurate, but they don't say anything in the actual financial language for those reports that suggests that they are that concerned about where it is that they're going to be able to get the cash flow from, or where it is that they're going to be able to get those revenues from. They have a plan in place where they're just like, let's get to the Champions League. And that is what the entire thing is like bet on, is that we think we can, with this squad, get into the Champions League. And then the additional revenues that we get from the Champions League will help us improve our cash flow position, which we will then leverage in order to make the deals for the players happen. And then once we have those deals in place, we are hoping that that will mean the next season we will also be able to get back into the Champions League. Their whole strategy is on that one premise, is that they're looking to get into back-to-back seasons within the Champions League. And that's why they don't have that much of a commercial focus. So
isn't that a flawed strategy?
Why is it a flawed strategy? I mean, the other teams, other teams do it all
that's
the
the
time.
strategy of almost. That's the strategy of almost every big
my
team.
view is that we have to, as you said, succeed on the pitch. But to succeed on the pitch, we have to inject money in. If they're not willing to inject money in themselves, surely the only way to get money is sponsorship deals. And
no, you can get money through player sales as well.
Don't do that.
This is.
But we don't do that.
We do player sales. We will be doing player sales. We have moved players on when we don't want to. We've got deals lined up for Rasmus Højlund. That's 40 million that's going to come up. I know Barcelona might not be able to afford Rashford, or maybe they're going to play games or whatever. But it's not like he's an undesirable player.
No,
the people from.
Shane, the thing is, so I'm thinking not Rasmus Højlund. I'm thinking we're not doing the kind of deals that Manchester City do or Chelsea do for developmental players that they sell on for 20, 30 million. That's where we're failing.
Well, yes, you're right. We don't do that because our club wants to retain those players and then bring them up the system. It's a total identity difference. We cannot argue about United DNA and say that there's youth, courage, and success, and then say, well, we don't sell our young players or our good ones for these deals. The reason why they're able to sell those young players at such a market rate or such a high rate is because that team is successful on the pitch. Like that does play a factor into that, because people will think that, oh, if they're successful on the pitch, then and that young player is not able to break through into the squad, but he is highly rated by that club, he must be worth something.
Guys,
but
can if I may just interject here. I think the reason why City are able to sell all those players is not because they flicked a switch 2 years ago and decided to start selling them. This is the output of years of having a system where the team, first of all, the first team is succeeding to the point where most of the youth players cannot get a chance in the first team, so they have to sell them. And being associated with a 4-time consecutive Premier League winning team affords you the loyalty to sell some players above their value. Like, who was that guy that played for Liverpool, the striker that they had that they sold for like
Ryan
30,
Brewster.
40 million? Ryan Brewster, that guy. Where's that guy now? Like, they sold him for 30, 40 million because of that. Even Harvey Elliott, he went to Aston Villa. What has that guy done that is, better than I can't even come up with a comparable player. So this is a thing, Rafael, in a way that Ineos are in a lose-lose position, right? Because there's so much shit that has happened under the Glazers and Ed Woodward that they're any way they go, it's a wrong turn, right? And so we have to take that as a pinch of salt for ourselves when we try to criticize Ineos. That being said, I want to hear from AUN, because is that a Nashville jersey?
Yeah.
AUN?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you a Nashville fan?
Yeah, I am. It's my home city right now. So I'm about like 2 miles away from the stadium.
All right. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Do you go to games? Are you like a season ticket holder?
Yes, I am a season ticket holder, so I tend to go to games.
Very nice. Just entertain me. How much does a season ticket cost for Nashville?
I pay about like $1,000 each for my. I have 2 season tickets, and it was about $1,000 each. So it's not that expensive.
And how many games is it in the MLS? I'm sorry.
So like they actually have about like 38 games, and about like 18 at home, and then they have what they call like the Lamar Open Cup, is like the version of FA Cup, and Nashville won it last year.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice, awesome. We have Shant back in the chat as well. That's nice to see. Anyways, AUN, you tell us. First of all, I haven't seen you since three game weeks, so it's been a while.
Been a minute.
How are you feeling about everything, and also just really like help us wrap up on this finances situation. Then we can switch the topic, talk about anything else you want to talk about.
So finance first. I agree with like Shailene here. Like Manchester United finance position is always reported worse than it actually is. Yeah, like of course we're not doing the revenues like we used to. People forget when we signed the first Adidas deal and the Chevrolet deal was right after we just won the league in 2014. We just won the league a year before, so it was fresh off everybody's mind. That's why we're able to demand that much money from companies. But the last 13 years, of course, there's consequence for it. And those consequences that we don't get the same revenue deals that we usually get. And that's why we still don't have a training kit sponsor. We don't have a training ground sponsor yet, because what we're probably demanding and what companies are willing to pay is not the same. And I also agree that in Ineos, they're not focusing on that. Glazers, of course, should be worried, because that's their thing. If we bring more money in, they're able to take more revenue like out of the club. So they should be worried. Hey, where's the sponsorship deal? Hey, the sleeve sheet is about to expire. Where is it at? Because it required them to have less money. Where Ineos is like, I'm focused on what I want to do, which is if I fix the football structure first and we get the success on the field, we are united. The rest will come, just like it followed with every other team. So their main goal is let's figure out how to be competitive on the football field first. Once we got that down packed, then we can move on to the revenue. The only thing I agree with everybody else regarding the finances is like Blanc, because I think Blanc should have been the CEO from the get-go. Because what he did, not just PSG. What he did with Juventus, people forget that.
Mm.
When he was the president with Juventus, when the Juventus was coming back from being like relegated to the second division, and he's the reason why he masterminded them moving to the new stadium, securing finance for it, and all of that. I think he should have been the CEO.
He's still on the board, but like
Yeah,
he's 62 years old. Like, I mean, like again, that's kind of young, or not that old, but
Younger than
I don't
younger
think
than
he
Ratcliffe.
wants to be.
You're trying to
like,
put him in a wheelchair, bro, just because he's 62. Like,
well, I'm just saying, it's like
Hey,
the United job is
ageist.
meant for like a young
Guys,
That's
guys, just
ageism.
because someone is on the board does not mean
Ageism.
he wields a lot of influence. David Gill is still on the board. Sir Alex is still on the board. So
No,
just
they're
because someone's on the board-
non-executive chairman on the board. Blanc has a vote on the board. It's a bit different.
Yeah, and
But-
we have a director of football and we have a director of recruitment, but somehow Jim Ratcliffe says that I want to play a 4 at the back, and that's what we're doing. So
Yeah.
let's not
As
pretend
being a little
that
bit
we have
facetious, but I mean, they're getting proven right in real time, are they not?
no, but what is the sample size on which you're basing your evidence?
No, I know. I'm just saying,
3
but it's
games?
like, look,
But
if
3
at the end of the
games?
season they get 4th place, then they'll have been proven right with that decision.
yeah, but I mean,
But
like,
if,
I
if
don't want to get tangential with our finance discussion, but didn't we always talk about this, that like kind of our ceiling would be higher with assistant manager, but at present we would play better by just simplifying the tactics? We said this before Michael Carrick came in, right? So I don't want to be revisionist about that either. But anyways, guys, okay, let's table the finances discussion for a second, because you know, I don't know about the viewers, but I can just feel myself turning off just talking about this. So let's go back to what this actually means for the summer, right? Because I'm looking at, okay, Carrick's at the wheel, you know, how good does it feel? Let's finish the rest of the song. And it's all going well. Looks like Kobe Mainu is what's it called? A midfielder that we can count on, whether it's a starter or a rotation, right? Because even his staunchest supporters would agree, if we brought in Baleba and Elliot Anderson, they're probably ahead of Kobe Mainu in contention. Maybe AUN doesn't agree, but at least Elliot Anderson would be ahead of Kobe Mainu, like in terms of playing that position. He would be in my books, right? Maybe you don't agree with Baleba, but I would say at least he is. So what does it mean for the summer, right? Because I'm still looking at it, and in my opinion, the only way we get both Baleba and Anderson is if we sell Bruno. That's where I'm seeing this, because all the posturing from Ineos and everybody else, that's what the noise is telling me. And I have no reason to be optimistic about Ineos's decision making, especially at the transfer.
But Andy, do you mean in terms of the transfer funds, or do you mean in terms of the positions available?
No, the transfer funds. The transfer funds.
So
Hello?
last year we were in the
Yeah,
same.
I wanted
wondering.
you to clarify your question. I was just
Everybody just went quiet at the same time. So let's hear from Shayla, and I'll come back to you, Rishi.
Last year we were in the same spot. We were like before the summer we were wondering like, oh, will we even have money to spend and blah blah. And then we went and spent like what, 300 million. I'm just saying, guys, like at some point, like you guys should recognize. I feel like we go through the cycle every year of like, we don't know if we're gonna have money to spend in the summer window, especially since Ineos came in. They want to act like they're broke. They want to portray this picture that they're broke because they want to get the best deal. I said it like last time and even in January, like I'm saying it again now. They want to portray that they're not necessarily broke in this sense.
But is that strategy working though?
Yeah.
Is that strategy working though? Because they've ended up paying exactly what the selling club. No. I mean, there is nothing to argue. We paid Brentford exactly what they wanted for Mbeumo, and we wasted 6 weeks. Right, he started the season late. We paid Leipzig exactly what they wanted for Šeško, and we got him in after the season started. And we paid 25 million for a keeper from the Vengel League who wasn't even the title-winning goalkeeper. Right. So we've paid. Every club that has wanted to do business with United has got exactly what they wanted out of United. And even for Cunha, we got him in early
before
because he had a
I
release
would say
clause.
we would have paid at least a £20 premium on both of those players, like with Cunha and Mbeumo.
No, but there's
No, don't give me that, Rishi, because Because I know in the past when we've done deals, we've overpaid on almost every player. I felt like this summer, yes, maybe the clubs wanted them at a specific value, and we paid them at the value, but that value wasn't an
No, but
overvalue.
Shaylin, the point is we wasted a lot of time. All those points that we lost in the beginning of the season, we would have been a sure thing for the top
So
four
the
by this
timing,
point.
I get it.
If
I
we
get
had
it, but the timing of the deals
no,
versus actually getting
Shaylin,
the deals over the line.
you can't see. Even Ed Woodward has done deadline day deals, so don't tell me that we can't get a deal over the line because we delayed the deal, right?
No. So the
We are
problem is
getting the
not about
deals
the
done.
money; it's execution.
Yeah, it's not a money. It's just the
Exactly.
So
execution.
it's not, it's execution, not money. And what we
Right,
argue
but
is
we're
that we
arguing
have
if
the
we're going to
money.
have money.
But guys, hold on. Your example, Shaylin, about us spending 300 million, the timing and the execution is part of us having money. Because if you have money at the wrong time, it's useless, right? So how they've been
Yeah,
spending
but
that
in the
money is
summer
important.
we
And
had the
sorry,
money to
one
do
more
the
thing.
deals. Yeah.
One more thing. That Sheshko money has come from the credit line that we raised, which isn't an infinite boat. So for us to say, oh, we postured the same way and we spend 250 million, we can just go do that again without any of the things in the background changing is not realistic, right? We can't just sit here and say it's a bottomless pit. We can keep borrowing from it and just keep
Which
going.
I get, but we get a credit line based on half of what the projected revenue is of the club, right? Because like we've done like 650-ish or 660-ish million. The credit line is about 350 million. So the bank is extending us that credit as this. It's revolving, which means you end up having to pay it back. We will end up paying that money back anyways, and then that fund will be there. The only reason we went and dipped into it is because we needed the cash to do it. It's not because we don't have like the revenues to support it. It's just been a cash flow problem from day one that Ineos have been trying to figure out a way to fix. And I don't know if you guys like forgot or not, but we have 85 million in cash in the bank today. Like that is there available to get spent
didn't
today.
you also say, Shaylin, that some of that is going to go back into paying for some of the debts that we have?
Yeah, it will go back into paying for some of the debts, but we also have not realized the revenue, or we have not actually gotten the revenue from the Premier League, for which you typically bank at the end of the season, once the season's done. And then they actually pay out your prize money for where it is that you finish, and then along with the additional TV revenue. So there's that. If I'm concerned about where are we going to get the money from, it's like, look, next year, I'll tell you right now, the numbers will look worse because we've only played 40 league games, and like even the stadium revenue is still a significant enough where it actually affects our balance sheet as well. So next year we will be in the same position, having the same exact conversation over how United's revenues have dropped. And I promise you, like, you know what? Remind yourself in a year where, and I'll be saying this, is that it's fine. Like, it's something that we've predicted, that we knew was going to happen. We come to this conversation every single year right before the summer transfer window of like, where's the money going to come from? Where's the money going to come from? Somehow it ends up coming, and we have not, like, gotten into administration. We're not broke or anything like that. But by all means, if anything, Ineos are more broke in their actual business than United are. But that's a totally separate topic.
But Shaylin, here's the thing. First of all, we're not just blowing smoke or reacting to some nonsense, right? I think it's a real concern to show because, like I said, I do understand most companies operate on debt. They borrow against the future to, expand revenues today. It's basic finance, right? I'm not against borrowing. I'm not against the credit facility. The concern I'm bringing up is what I said at the top when I pivoted to this conversation is I don't see us getting both Baleba and Anderson, which presumably could cost us up to 200 million unless we sell Bruno. That's the point I was trying to make. Right?
You're also like reducing wages from players, right? Which is
you're
pretty
reducing,
significant.
you're reducing wages from Casemiro. That's what, 15 million, 18 million a year, right?
Yeah.
Is what you're saving up. But that is also a player that you need to replace now, which is going to cost you more than 18 million. So you can't say
no. This is the thing. It's like it's 18 million that you're getting back in the year. And with amortization, a lot of these costs are split over the length of the player's contract. So let's just assume we're going to give Baleba and we're going to give Anderson like over, like 5 years. If it's 200 million over 5 years, you're looking at 40 million for just their transfer cost that's going to hit the books today in year one. Right. And then whatever their wages are, they're not going to be on $15 million a year. I guarantee you that combined, let alone individually. So let's say they're on half of that. We'll be generous or whatever. So 150K.
No,
a week,
Elliot Anderson is
7
going to
million?
command. Elliot Anderson is going to command our
10
highest
million
wage.
combined for
He's going
both.
to be on par with Mbumo and Cunha. That is a guarantee if we're
Okay.
going to get him.
Totally fine. So then 10 million a year for both, right? Then you're at what? Like 50 million that is going to need to get paid this year in order to fund their transfer. We got 85 in the bank. So like, yes, you can theoretically get both if you want to do the financial gymnastics in order to do it. And it matters a lot about the deal structure. Like we paid more for Xerxes because we wanted a better deal structure. So that way we could split the payment over 3 years instead of actually just paying his transfer costs up front, because that works better for us. You'll see a lot of that happen.
No, I listen. I think we'll see in the summer what actually happens. My concern that I'm bringing up is not about where that 85 million is going, because I feel like we have talked about that 85 million before, and it's kind of being used as the answer to A, B, C, and D, whereas it's a finite amount, right? Because we've talked about the debts, we've talked about other costs that are coming up, we've talked about the lack of revenue as well. And we're saying that's going to go towards both Baleba and Anderson. I don't see how 85 million does all of that. That is the concern I'm trying to talk
It's
about.
not
And
the,
when I see
but
that,
you're assuming it's a finite
sorry,
amount that we're
one second.
getting, right? We're going to
What-
get additional money in though. And that's what I'm also saying too, is that
but that
when
also
you book
takes
the
away from the
revenues at the
squad.
end of the
That's my
season,
point.
you'll
That
get
also
that.
takes away from the
Guys,
squad. All
guys,
we're
I think
saying is-
Andy, sorry if I could just interject for one moment. I think it'll help us if we talk in absolute terms, in like we define the transfer kitty and then we talk in those terms, right? I think it'll be more helpful for this discussion. So, Shaylin, how much do you think we'll have as a transfer budget? Say
300.
we finish fourth.
300 million. I'm telling you, that's probably the amount that we're going to be looking to spend in the summer. A full
So I'm
midfield
just
revamp
I'm
will
just
likely
going to
cost
do
that much.
I'm just going to do a rough calculation here. 100 million because we finish in the Champions League spots, right?
Yeah.
Another 100 million which the club always puts up for spend, and another 100 million from sales. That's what your sorry, we've got dogs barking. They don't agree with 300 million, I guess. So I'm just going to go on mute, but yeah, please carry on, Shailen. So based on the 300 million, can you share what positions you think Ineos will strengthen and how much those will cost?
That's probably only in the midfield. I mean, that's all we've heard. I don't know, like, as to what else they're going to buy from a player standpoint, but they're probably just going to revamp the midfield. If anything, if there's a notable exit for a particular player, let's say in our center back line because something comes up, maybe they have a good World Cup or whatever that they want, then yeah, they'll probably try to find a like for like replacement or at least another person to get in there. But yeah, for in terms of who are the net new going to come into is just new midfielders.
And do you think that's sufficient for us to be where we're supposed to be?
What do you mean where we're supposed to? For me, it's like we got to win the league. But Raphael even said it yesterday. We need to spend $500 million to on this squad more. 300 million is like half of that amount that he said that we've got to spend. We can't revamp the squad in like, one entire season. Like, I don't think that that's realistic. I think that's honestly a fool's
I'm just
errand.
asking you, like, forget about what anyone else thinks. I'm asking you, like, would you be happy with, let's say 300 million being spent on the midfield?
Yeah, why wouldn't I be happy? That's investment into the players, or that's investment into the squad that hopefully we should end up seeing a return for. And if we look at just the number of people that we had gotten in, like youth players included, it is what, 6, right? Because Sekou Kone also came in that time as well, plus one other person. Like, was Chide Obi this summer or was he the previous summer? I'm not sure. But anyways, we still got
He was
like
the previous summer.
like
He was
players.
previous summer.
Okay, well, yeah. So we still got like young players in too. We were still like looking to do deals for them. So I mean, sure, like we'll get those. We honestly could end up doing more deals, and maybe like the whole Anderson, Baleba, Wharton are just red herrings that they're just putting out there, and then they go and find like 3 or 4 other people that they want to sign for that money, for instead like 3 or 4 like $30-40 million signings, which is totally
So
fine.
I think the only thing we're really disagreeing with is that, You're saying we're going to spend 300 million, but 100 is going to be in sort of net sales, right? So 100 in sales, so that's 200 net spend. Would that be accurate?
I don't think it's going to be 200. I think it will probably, again, like last summer, and probably again for the next summer, it'll be 150 million in terms of like, if you're looking at a net spend amount. I hate the net spend metric because it is garbage to look at, because when you look at what is actually going to strengthen your squad, it is the players that are coming in. Like when a player leaves, it doesn't do anything for your squad in my mind. It's not making it stronger, it's just making it weaker. So I always like to look at the total amount that's been spent. And I know that Arsenal love to, be at the top of the net spend table, but like, again, when you look at where their squad has gotten to, it's because they spent $1 billion, right? When you look at where Man City's squad has gotten to, it's because they've spent $1 billion and they continue to spend that. Almost like, every like 2 to 3 years in order to
$1 billion in the last like 3 windows.
In the last like 3 windows, yeah. And so that's why they're still strong. So that's why like I don't like net spend, but if you want to say,
the only reason why I think
metric,
the
then yeah.
net spend is useful is in specific cases like Julian Alvarez, right? I think they sold Julian Alvarez for 80 million, which seemed like a good price at the time, but the impact it had on their squad is far greater than 80 million.
But
right?
They don't need to worry about like the sale funding it from a cash flow perspective. They have
no, they don't.
So,
we're talking 2 different things.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the tactical squad impact, not necessarily the finances.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm making the same comparison, right? I'm saying Bruno Fernandes is 10 times the impact on our squad what Julian Alvarez even had on Man City, as big as that impact was. So that's the concern I'm trying to bring up, because if you're saying we're going to be 150 in terms of net spend and we're going to spend 300, then even you are incorporating Bruno being one of those sales, because let's be honest, Rashford is likely to go back on loan to Barcelona or somewhere else. Andre Onana, we probably don't get a lot of money. Ugarte, we probably don't get a lot of money. And if we're selling both Casemiro and Ugarte, which means we need more than 2 midfielders, so that bodes well to your point of
I think we just need 60 in player sales, because we've already banked Rasmus, right? Like as in like that's something that's getting executed. That's like around 40. We just need 60 from the like other players. We've got, right, we have Rashford, as you had mentioned. If Barcelona don't take him on that like cut price, which I think for him is what, like 20 million or whatever, or it's 30 million. Yeah, so it's 30 million. If they don't take him on that, some other club would be more than willing to, and I think we would even sell him at that rate too, just because, or more or whatever, because it's not Barcelona. We didn't agree with something with you prior, but let's say Barcelona do find the money and get it. So now you're looking at 70. You only need 30 more million in terms of player sales. You're telling me we can't get that from the existing players that we have, that we could probably see leaving in the summer?
My concern is that they won't be satisfied with a 150 million net spend, and they might just look at it and say, you know what, why not just sell Bruno? Because selling Bruno gives you 60 million and gets his wages off the bill.
Yeah, and totally, like, I get it. They're just like, why not just sell Bruno, do that, and then, okay, we'll sell the other, because the other guys are going to. Like, I know that, right? They're not going to come back and play for us. So even if the other guys go, then that just means we have more money to spend. If we sell Bruno, then we have more money to spend. It's, again, this is only if we get into the Champions League. If we don't, Bruno is going regardless of whether or not he wants to stay at the club, because in order to improve our financial positioning and then do the deals that we want to do in the summer, that's the only way you get to that point, right? And from a math problem standpoint, that's it. For this is just like, let's say we get into the Champions League. If you sell Bruno, then your entire thing is going to be like, okay, we're going to get another player on top of that. And that probably means that you're looking at close to £100 million player to get on top of that in order to replace it. I think if we sell Bruno, whoever we get would then be an additional replacement. And I would expect them to, let's say instead of spending 300 million, spend closer to 400 million. But I still think we're going to end up spending 300 million this summer, because the 2 targets that we've been linked to, or the 3 targets we've been linked to the most, are 100 million each. We're probably getting 1 or 2 of them.
So like right now, as it stands, I think we're gonna buy 3 players without even ever trying to talk about replacing people. So we need 2 midfielders and you need a right winger just before you can like supplement by Ugarte leaving.
All right, right winger or left winger?
Left winger. Yeah, we need a left winger and 2 midfielders. That's just the bare minimum. And if we factor in, let's say you lose Bruno Fernandes, then you're gonna have to spend 150 million and go get Palmer. And I don't think they're willing to do that just yet. So I think we have maybe one more season with Bruno Fernandes before we seriously think about him leaving. But when it comes to the summer,
I don't think that, only because I just think he wants to go in the summer, and that's just my personal belief. The only indication I have is that interview that he did with the Portuguese media. So, like, I again, we might end up seeing us looking for a replacement for him this summer.
But I think AUN's point is more about Ineos' strategy, right? Which is they want him to stay, which I would agree with. I think they want him to stay for at least another year, if not 2. And I think their thought process even earlier in the season, before Amram got sacked, even last summer, was completely different. I think they've gone back on their thought process because guess what? The biggest unlocking of the squad after going to a 4-2-3-1 has been because of Bruno. And it's not just been these 3 games. It's also been the Burnley game. It's also been the Brighton game, because we played that same formation. Šeško got his 2 goals, large in part because of Bruno, right? Dorgu gets a screamer because of Bruno's 1-2 with him. So Bruno's a big part of this squad, and they're seeing more and more of it, which might even make Bruno want to leave more, because he's like, oh, I told you guys this was going to happen or whatever. But
do you guys, I mean, this is interesting because we're just assuming Carrick is the manager.
No, he's not going to be the manager.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
then we don't know.
He is going to be.
I'm going to be honest. I've had this thought for a while.
He is.
I don't think we should be going for a system manager.
I never liked system managers anyway.
No, I'm 100% honest. I don't think a system manager can succeed with the amount of problems we've had at this club that Ineos are trying to turn the tide, right? They're essentially trying to like surf on a tsunami right now, right? and we're expecting them to do all these miracles. So I can see why Shaylin is upset about us talking negatively about his employer. And that is warranted, because they're trying to do an impossible task, right? And as much as I hated the knee-jerk like reaction to sacking Amram, I was more upset about the fact that they hired him in the first place. Like, you hired a guy that was supposed to do all of these things. You didn't give him any of the toolkits, and then you're going to sack him in the most like acrimonious way possible, right? Now, imagine how banter of a club you have to be to spend 450 million in the summer, win the league last year, and still be behind United after all the shit we've done this year.
I don't need to. I see it today.
Wrong manager.
This is ridiculous, bro. Like, how did this guy, the fall of Liverpool from last season to this season has to be studied, okay? Because listen, honestly, Ekatike is looking like a baller, and he's like single-handedly like carrying them right now through some of these games. And Wirtz looks like he's starting to come good. But then where's the rest of the team? Where's the best defender in the history of the Premier League just because he has a ponytail? You know, I don't really see where any of this is coming from. So
you guys read any articles about what's going on in the Liverpool dressing room? Questions on Van Dijk's leadership, all these things that we hear about United. Is there a single peep about Liverpool out there in the media?
This is why I'm never concerned. Yeah. Rishi, this is exactly why I'm never concerned about where we will find commercial deals from. Because if we want to, like if we just say, all right, we need to get them more money, we will just point to the fact, look at the amount of times that we're talked about, and look at the second largest club in England and the amount of times they're talked about. We finished 15th last season. They finished first. There are levels to this. And so if it's like, if all you want is just brand exposure, you just put United next to your name and you will immediately get that. And
Dude,
also, the best part is we don't even protest these brands, like, because we should if we want the Glazers out. So it doesn't matter, like in my mind. But yeah.
Go ahead, Rishi.
Yeah, it's just funny how their best ever player, Liverpool's best ever player, came out after a match and said that the board have thrown me under the bus, right? And they spoke about it for 24 hours. And Kobe Mainoo, who probably on the list of academy graduates isn't even in the top 25 at United. His brother wears a t-shirt and they speak about it for months. It's just hilarious to me
Yeah,
how much
he
attention
hasn't
is.
said anything. He hasn't said anything. It was like Salah doing what he did was, let's say, not quite as bad as doing an hour-long interview with Piers Morgan and throwing the chefs under the bus, but it was, let's say, in the realm, right? Because there's levels to this shit. Like Ronaldo is to United what Salah only dreams to be for Liverpool, right? And in world football as well. But
Do you
yeah,
know,
it's crazy.
Andy, you know the parallel to this of what happened to us in the summer is when Rasmus Højlund like kind of walked out apparently during the summer and says, "Oh, we're gonna do he just wanted to do an interview with somebody because he wanted to talk about how much he wanted to stay at the club." And then Amarim's like, "Hell no, you're out!" Like, and then they just like
They
immediately
sold him after 3
fired.
days.
Yeah, right. Like 3 days later, he gets sold, and like Salah's still there playing for Liverpool today, even after the January transfer window. And he was like, not even talking about like how much he wants to play for the club. He was just telling them, he's like, they've thrown me under a bus. Like this guy is like a horrible manager and blah blah whatever. I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, well.
Have you guys ever realized when you read articles about other teams, somewhere in that article there's a mention of Manchester United?
Yeah.
Is to click. Is to if you want something to go viral, you gotta mention Manchester United. It can
Bro,
be
there was
a transfer window.
There was a CBS Sport coverage of the Champions League. United are not in any European competition, and Jamie Carragher talks about United in his monologue or some shit like that. I'm just like, yeah. Anyways, listen, United being a mess, United being in the position that we are, gives us something to talk about. So here we are. Talking about something that's more relevant than a club spending 450 million and still being, how many points are they behind us right now? Let me see this.
I think they're 2 points behind
3
us.
points.
They're 2 points behind
or
us,
three, yeah.
and somehow, guys, we have scored 5 goals more than them in a season where we have acrimoniously sacked our manager. Like we've literally like lambs to the slaughter, like got rid of this guy like he was the worst thing in world football, and we are still 2 points ahead of Liverpool, man. So on that note, guys, we'll leave it here. Thank you guys for joining today. I should be putting out a produced video later today. I have some thoughts to get off my chest since I've had a lot of time to decompress post the sacking. So please look forward to that. And you will probably do a preview of the Tottenham game as well. I wish there were some more tactics that I could analyze about Thomas Frank, but I'm going to do my best to analyze whatever is there. Yeah, guys, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, talking about something else because we're always going to be relevant. See you guys later.
See
Peace.
y'all.